Very good afternoon to all attendees of specialized sections of BBA.
Good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon, Anusha. Well, we will start, and we were doing the rights and responsibilities of employees and employers. So we have seen various points there. Uh, so we'll continue from there, and we'll see what this module has more to offer to us, and gradually we are moving towards the end of this module, and we'll be starting the next module today itself, maybe in this session or in the next session as time permits. So let me share the slideshow. By the time, if there are any queries, please let me know. This we have discussed. The slide is on your screen. This we have discussed. This was the last topic that we discussed. Also, the details of it and rights of employees, uh, classification of rights and responsibilities for both. We are talking about rights and responsibilities, but classifying whether these are rights and responsibilities of employer or employees. But yes, these are what the rights and responsibilities are, and broadly classified into four segments: legal, social, environmental, and ethical. Moving ahead, rights of employees. This is just to make you recall that this we discussed last time. Responsibilities of employees, rights of employers, and responsibility of employers. So we've gone through it, and this we have not covered. So how organization influence ethical conduct. So right from rights and responsibilities, we are moving towards ethical conduct, and this is what we are going to discuss. Slide number 37. We have to start with. So let's see. Let's move ahead, and from here, here in this section, we are talking about how organization influence ethical conduct. So people choose between right and wrong based on their personal code of ethics. The ethical environment created by the employees also influence the organization. So poor business ethics, what is the main point here? Poor business ethics can create a very negative image for a company, can be expensive for the firm, and or the executives involved who are involved in unethical practice. And many times, there is a problem that arises. It is that people commit wrong things. These are executives who commit wrong things just for their personal benefits. They want to avail out of their deals with the clients, and they may be promising false to the clients. And ultimately, they will move out. After generating a business, they'll complete their targets, and after a while, they'll move out. But once the client faces the problem, they'll come to the company because ultimately it's a product of the company. And that's why it's even important for the organization to make sure that whoever is uh, appointed by them to represent the company represents the company in a better way. So organizations can reduce the potential for the liability claims by leading through example through various informal and formal programs, and by educating their employees about ethical standards, what they should be doing and what they should not be doing. Now, if you see four say points have been given here. First is leading by example. So employees often follow the example set by their managers. Leaders and managers establish patterns of behavior that determine what's acceptable and what's not within an organization. So what the higher management is doing, what the superiors are doing, subordinates may tend to do the same. So if the superiors are involved in unethical practices, so does the lower people at the lower stages or lower levels are going to follow. The second point here is offering ethics training program. That is a responsibility of almost all companies in today's date, and it's a responsibility of HR department to make sure that people are given a proper training about the ethical conduct of the organization. So in addition to providing a system to resolve ethical dilemmas, organizations also provide formal training to develop an awareness of questionable business activities and practices appropriate um, and practice appropriate business conduct. Many companies have some or the other type of ethical training program, which is integral part of their company, integral part of their protocols. The ones that are most effective begin with the techniques for solving ethical dilemma. And next, employees are presented with a series of situations and asked to come up with the best ethical solution for a critical task where this ethical dilemma may be faced. You pick up all Fortune 100 companies, 500 companies, most modern organizations across the globe provide some sort of ethical training program for their employees. So when you will be part of profession, make sure that you are also part of either the training programs, uh, conducting them, attending them, and so on, so that you are able to know what organization has to offer or what you are offering to as an organization offering to your stakeholders. Point three is establishing a formal code of ethics. So most large companies, if you see, have created, printed, and distributed code of ethics to their employees. And in general, if you see, a code of ethics provides employees with the knowledge of what their firm expects in terms of responsibilities and behavior towards fellow employees, customers, and suppliers. So some of the ethical codes offer, say, a lengthy description is there, and it's a lengthy set of guidelines for employees, wherein sometimes company does a summary statement of goals, policies, and priorities. And uh, what are your objectives, mission, and visions? Those particular strategic statements. If you've gone through strategic management, then these are strategic statements. Those are being hung in the corridors so that people, while moving into the corridors, even have a glimpse of that, and they know what is expected out of them. Similarly, codes are being framed and hung on the office walls. Uh, they are also being made as a key component of employee handbook. Uh, and many of the companies post it on the website because it's an open kind of guideline, and people should know what companies are doing. So even other stakeholders very well know by visiting the website that what is expected out of them. There's one more thing, and I don't know to what extent you know, but whistleblower is somebody who will take a risk of challenging the company on the ethical behavior. So he is a person who exposes any kind of information that reveals illegal, unethical, or not correct activities within an organization that is either private or public. Many whistleblowers have stated that they were motivated to take actions and put an end to unethical practices after witnessing injustices in their businesses or organizations. So in addition to ethics, social and organizational pressures are also motivating forces for whistleblowing, because people around these whistleblowers always instigate them that what you are undergoing is incorrect. So it may be even exploitation that's happening as per the normal standards, People may be called to work for 8 hours, but they're asked to work for 12 hours and so on. Overtimes are not being given, though the policy says there will be no overtime and so. So till a particular time, people take the pressure because everybody is on the line of survival. Job gives bread and butter to the people, and they have their own uh, liabilities to be carried out. They have the families, expenses of families are to be borne. So nobody is speaking just for the fear of losing the job. But there will be one or the other person, and he may come up with such kind of say act that he is trying to expose the company out of what unethical practices company is having. So this is there. And if you see, researchers have also shown that individuals are more likely to blow the whistle when several others know about the wrongdoing. It is not that what is happening to you. It is also that people know it's happening in the public, as I was stating about overtimes, etc. So, everybody knows about it, but nobody is speaking. So, if there is an act that has suppressed you, only you, then the chances of blowing a whistle are very, very less compared to when it is suppressing almost everybody. So, chances of blowing a whistle will be higher. So, the motivation for whistleblowing isn't always virtuous. That's also one thing, and the outcome isn't always positive either. There are cases that those are being seen involving employees who blew the whistle as an act of revenge against their employer or supervisor, for instance. So while it's possible for a whistleblower to be viewed as a hero, why hero? Because uh, nobody else have the guts to project that unethical act of the company. But this person has represented almost everybody, and he or she is having a silent support of almost everybody. So, he may be viewed as a hero for his or her courage and truth telling. It's also possible to be seen as a traitor or gossiper. Many a times these people are also who just want to be a hero for sake of being a hero, come up with something. And he may be one of many disgruntled employees who are simply trying to get even for a perceived but imaginary injustice. Imaginary injustice. So, why I emphasized more on this particular point is that whistleblower in ethics may be asked as a maybe represented as a particular topic, and you should know what are the pros and cons of it, what are the circumstances under which person may blow the whistle, person may be right, person may be wrong, and so on. So, bit more emphasis is being given on that. So to conclude, I'll conclude on this. I'll not extend much. Whistleblowers have the right to file complaints that they believe give reasonable evidence of a violation of a law, a rule, or you may say regulation. It may be gross mismanagement which they are trying to project, gross waste of funds and finances. It may be an abuse of authority which superiors are putting in form of a pressure, or it may be like in industry or in production unit, it may be like a is danger to public health or safety where the norms of safety are not being followed, and employees are the one who are working on the machines and they have a risk of getting uh, into say something bad, because health is first and foremost. Once gone, it will not come back. So that's why whistleblowers many times these are certain which I have just said, certain kind of reasons why whistle is being blown by the people, so that they can manage effective environment, or they can ask the company to have effective environment which is beneficial to all people who are working in that industry. So I'll move ahead and you know This is the end of previous topic, and now we will be moving to a new topic, and that is about conflict of interest. So we'd like to see what conflict of interest is, and the write-up on the slide very categorically says that word to word, and you should go through it. A conflict of interest occurs when an entity or individual becomes unreliable because of a clash between personal or self-serving interests and professional duties or responsibilities. So, while doing particular duties, person can foresee that there will be a personal advantage while pursuing this. So he take a midway and as I was saying previously, that a person may uh, state wrong intricacies of the product for selling it because he is under pressure of meeting the sales targets. So he may, whenever he is meeting a client, he may project false details of the project just to make sure that he is able to meet the target of selling. So, there comes a conflict of interest. What company says is he should not be telling lies to the companies, but just under the pressure and having ulterior motive of generating the profit, the person can state wrong things about the company itself. So such kind of examples should be quoted under conflict of interest. As the point says, such a conflict occurs when a company or a person has a vested interest such as money, status, knowledge, relationships, or reputation, which puts into question whether their action, judgment, or decision making is biased or unbiased. So, moving forward, a conflict of interest occurs when a person's or entity's vested interest raise a question of whether their action, judgments, as I've said in the previous slide, also this point was in previous slide, and decision making is unbiased. In business, a conflict of interest arises when a person chooses personal gain over duties to their employers or to an organization in which they are a stakeholder or exploits their position for personal gain in some way. So you may be holding a very good position, but then you are suppressing the suppliers. That where is the margin money? You may be requiring margin money for clearing the tenders also. So in that case, actually that's where the conflict of interest is. So conflict of interest often have legal ramifications, and there will be punishments because many a times the regulations laid down by the company is as per the guidelines prescribed by the governing authorities. So if you go beyond it, then there would be a punishment, which may vary. What is going to be the intensity of the punishment? Now, if you see these points, when such a situation arises, the person is usually asked to remove themselves, and it is often legally required of them, especially in the case of judiciaries, where judge himself is a relative of somebody whose case has been heard. So he'll ask himself to remove, and if somebody asks, somebody knows about it, then the person can put up the mark that there is a relationship between the um, hearer and the convict, and there could be bias in the decision. So the person shall be not taking the authority here. So what are common types of conflict interest? This slide gives four. This list is not exhaustive, but when you go through the literature, you will find these factors being talked the most. So the first is self-dealing. It is being taken and observed as the most common type of conflict of interest in the business world. It occurs when a management level professional accepts a transaction from another organization that benefits the manager and harms the company or the company's clients. So it's like I can quote an example of um, confidentiality. you have information of people whom you are supposed to apprise about the new product that is coming up, but you are connected with other organization also, and in that case, you will send the information of your clients, could be potential customers for the other company, and against that, you may gain some monetary benefits, etc. And you may justify that, oh, if I keep on working with the same piece of information, this company for which I'm serving is only going to give me a salary. But salary is coming from this company. But then you sell the information to some other company against which you will be given some benefits in cash or kind. That depends. So that's what is a self-dealing. When you go outside and start dealing on your own, leaving the company behind. It's also been seen when service engineers come to your house. So suppose I put in the complaint uh, for filling of a gas in one of the ACs. So I give a call to the customer care of a company who allots somebody, and that person may come here. That person may come here and say, "I do it privately, and this is the less this much less amount you have to pay to me." Where if you get it done officially, then obviously the amounts are going to be higher. So many a times, customer what they do is they get it done privately from the same person. And when the same person is sending report to the company, he say everything is fine with the customer, is with the product, and uh, he only charge the nominal account of visiting charge that is up to 50 rupees. So, these kind of examples are there of self-dealing, and that happens on daily basis. I've already said this happens on daily basis. The second point here is gifting. So gift issuance is also a very, very common conflict of interest. It happens when a corporate manager or officer accepts a gift from a client or a similar type of person to get the job done out of the way. Companies normally circumvent this issue by prohibiting gifts from customers to individual employees, but it may happen in the private and company won't be able to see that. So this is again one problem that is there. Insider trading, oh, that's actually very, very troublesome. And this situation may also arise when, in the course of professional duties, an individual collects confidential information, and that information is dealt accordingly. The person is already knowing the information. A similar example I gave previously also. So any information of this type used for personal gain by an employee is a huge conflict of interest. Especially this happens in the financial industry and this particular industry where figures only matters. Suppose there is a CF firm, it is having the information of various companies together. So financial industry constantly grapples with this type of conflict of interest in the form of insider trading. And last is nepotism, which is like again showing favorable workplace treatment to a relative or in a spouse or somebody known in your circle, and that's what is called nepotism, and that generally results in a potential conflict of interest. You may be giving promotion or salary hikes to somebody who is known to you rather than somebody who actually deserve it. So these are certain factors. These are certain factors which talks about conflict of interest, and that really is quite unethical environment has been created because of these particular practices. Conflict of interest, and we are moving to, I think so, the last uh, topic in this particular module, and that's about employee relationship at workplace. This has always been talked about in ethical domain, that to what extent you should have personal relations with people inside the professional environment. So if the personal relation will take over, then obviously whatever we have seen, nepotism, etc., insider trading, that will start working. So people will intentionally and unintentionally land up with some kind of uh, conflict of interest where they are favoring somebody or they are doing some out of the work just to make sure that the benefit goes to the connected stakeholder. That's the point. And see what it says. It says employee. If I expand on this, employee relationship at workplace include managing boundaries and multiple relationships with the colleagues or moreover with the clients, and involving with them beyond boundaries may prove fatal. We'll see a few things, and we'll see what is a personal boundary and what is a professional boundary in these slides. So what's a personal boundary? What it has been said that these are the physical, emotional, and mental limits, as the point also says on the slide, which people use to protect themselves from being drawn too much into their client's life and more being manipulated or violated by others. So how close you're going to be, that has had to be defined. So they allow professionals to maintain psychological safety for themselves and their clients and make objective decisions about the process to the most effectively assist clients to achieve their goals. On one side, they are going to assist the clients, and on the second side, they are going to achieve what is prescribed to them as an objective or goal without indulging much into it. Helping your client is good, but going deep into that help is going to be bad. So without these personal boundaries, if you see, professionals can run the risk of getting too involved in clients issuing and wanting to rescue their clients from their situation. It is many a time said, look, house always say you should be helping your clients, but that help should only be restricted to what you are doing, what kind of help you can provide in reference to the work that you are doing or service or product that you are offering. So it's like installing a software, installing an operating system, and the computer is not responding to a particular hardware. Or when you install an operating system is not compatible with a specific kind of maybe RAM, and that needs to be updated. Now you will get into it, and you will start saying, "Oh, this is a particular service provider." Ask them to install the RAM and increase the cache and so on. But actually, this is eating up your time. So you have to decide upon the boundary. The client may very well say, sir, you already know this much. Please call the service provider also. Please arrange for the same. This is not your profile. Your profile is very, very different. But then you are engaged just so you have gone attached sentimentally with the clients, and you also know that okay, this particular work is going to help the client, and it will also help you to generate a business. So you are helping the client to a larger extent beyond the boundaries of your system, and ultimately that's what is going to challenge you after a while because that's eating up your time. You may do this and include supporting them to change their situation, but you have to draw a line to what extent you should be doing that. The next slide talks about professional boundaries, and as the statement says, I hope this suffices that professional boundaries are the legal, ethical, and organizational frameworks that protect both clients and employees or workers from physical and emotional harm and help to maintain a safe working environment. So you get to know what your limits are. Those are being guided by legal and ethical and organizational system. The documents of these, the white papers of these, the uh, guidelines of these, and that's why you know what is your limit and to what extent you should be connected with even the other employees, even the other stakeholders. Those could be your suppliers, those could be your uh, distributors in logistics and so on. So those could be your clients and customers. But what is going to be the limit of that? That needs to be decided appropriately. Moving forward, it says sometimes we encounter challenging situations in our professional life, which can make maintaining these boundaries very, very difficult. And when this happens, so the example would be seen here. If a client offers you gifts, invites you to a social function, wants to extend your relationship beyond the service provided, it might be might want to become your friend, or say he wants to come into your Facebook community and so on, wants to join your Instagram page, personal page, not the organization page, personal page, so that he can follow you and communicate with you. What is the motive behind that is not actually known. There could be a selfish motive, there could be serious motive also, and we never know. And the last point is divulges information which is not relevant to the business goals. So situations such as these require workers to have a very clear understanding of their role and ethical principles and the organization's policies and code of conduct. So they should know their limit. It is also important for workers to be clear and assertive with clients about the boundaries of their role. They should also be clear about what is appropriate behavior for conducting the business. So these points revolve around that. So, considerations for maintaining professional personal boundaries are being given here. There are a few points like expectation, your role, etc., and take it one by one. And it has been said, as the point says, to strike a balance between the professional and personal boundaries. The following points are of prime importance, and one must be clear about these particular points. So, what is first is expectations. Set a clear expectation with the clients at the beginning of the process, what they can expect from you as a professional, and what you expect from them as a client. So, this includes acceptable behaviors, mutual respect, and commitment to committing the business process. Be clear about your role and its limits. That's the second point which has been given. And be assertive and let clients know if they are behaving inappropriately. You should not be suppressing yourself just for business to be conducted. Make sure that you apprise the clients about uh, what they are doing if that is bit inappropriate in terms of ethics. Have a clear relationship and only have one relationship at a time with a client, wherever possible. Having both a professional relationship and a personal friendship with the client at the same time can make it difficult to maintain boundaries and a safe and appropriate working environment. It may also be that you are into a business and one of your friends come to you. So how you are going to treat it, And that's why, as a professional, you should be very clear that there are company policies as per which the product will be supplied, wherein you can provide him the product as per his convenience, but company's policies will not change. Otherwise, what will happen? There will be disparity. So that should not be happening. Avoid disclosing your personal information to the client. And do not seek unnecessarily, that's the point here, do not seek unnecessary information from the client that is not relevant to the business process that you are into. Because if you seek unnecessary information or say unrelevant information, you could be held under breach of privacy. So you should not be forcing somebody to provide you that information which has nothing to do with the context of event in which you're working. If you do that, that's breaching privacy. Maintain your objectivity with clients. What your particular operation, why you are doing a particular operation, that needs to be very, very clear to you and the client both. Whatever are affiliations in that should be made very, very clear. So, what is the objective of this particular talk happening? One has to be very, very clear on that. Also, understand how to recognize and manage your triggers. There are certain things which are going to hurt you. You may be hyper sometimes and so on. So what are your triggers? How are you going to manage it? You cannot be abusing to somebody. You may not like it, but if there is something that you do not like, then that needs to be discussed across the table rather than you becoming uh, abusive. Privacy and confidentiality, maintain your clients' all details and make sure that only relevant information is provided to you. Whatever comes to you is intact with the databases and it's not leaking out to the third party who is giving unsolicited calls to your clients So that's a breach in confidentiality. And engage in regular critical reflection of your work. Keep analyzing yourself and make sure that what you're doing is in line with what has been offered as a protocol by the company. So if you keep on, say, critically analyzing yourself, uh, that's going to be good. So last few points that we will discuss, and it's socializing at a work with clients, and one should be very cautious when it comes to socializing with current or former clients. Socializing with colleagues, clients, CD point, or bosses during and beyond work for conducting a business can be challenging. There are certain actions that one can take to make the right impression and to make the relevant, say, relevant offerings, relevant operations. But the prime is to make the event enjoyable for all without challenging the business protocols. You are socializing, and when it comes to socializing, then you may not be talking about the work. You will only talking about the relationships, not about the work. So there are a few points here. Keep the conversations appropriate and do not tell jokes at the party or gathering because you do not know the triggers of other person. And those kind of talks should not be there in the parties and gatherings. Those talks that one would never tell in the office. So offending the team members may make them comfortable and could hurt their feelings, and that is something they will not forget anytime soon, and the repercussion may be faced by you. Point two is discuss non-work topics. So aim to keep the conversations away from business. Get to know the team, ask them about their hobbies, families, and interests. And many times I've talked about the cases. Yeah, these social gatherings are very much required also. First is to de-stress, uh, and many times it is like I have shared this in one or the other class. Uh, it's about I want to know that how many people have what kind of interests and so on. So when I will socialize with them, I'll get to know them in person, and that will also help me in creating the teams when we are creating teams for the projects. So rather than only discussing the work topics, when you go out, be free, talk to the people, and keep your conversations away from the business. Get to know people well, talk about their families, talk about their interests, but within a limit. There may be more reserved people, there may be more free people. So we should not be forcing somebody. It's a lighter conversation that happens between people. So talking about, say, the report that you have just sent the previous and you are talking previous evening, and you are talking about what would be improved in it. You're not improving the situation. That for that office hours are there, so that should be talked in the office hours. If you carry the same conversation here, it is already bothering people inside the organization. Here you are socializing. Such kind of talk about the official content, etc., is only going to either bore people or annoy people. So that's a point. Other point says be a listener, not a talker. So most people feel special when someone really listens to what they say. Because in the way you are into gatherings, there may not be a demarcation of a boss and a subordinate. So you are at the same levels, and you are socializing. You are talking on a different level altogether, which I just said: families, hobbies, interests, and so on. So when people listen, this also creates an image of a boss that he is a listener. In office, you only give the directives. But here you are listening, and that brings you more closer to the people. So be a listener, not a talker. And people really like the other people who are giving them the ears. It has also been said in the many of the researchers proven that people who talk more, even in social gatherings, not listening to the people, not giving the time of conversation to the people, they are said to be or perceived to be selfish and self-centered. So it's a recommendation coming from your elder also. In scenarios, make a habit of listening first and talking second. Spend time with the new people. So company events are a great way to get to know colleagues and clients and bond as a group. Move around and get to know people that are associated with your immediate client also. So they are clients to clients. They may also come to the party. Get to know them. So your client, your direct client, may think positive about your abilities as a communicator, and you actually are benefiting your client, direct client, whose clients are also in the party. So when you are talking to clients of your client, it is always a togetherness that comes in a business, and this helps in bringing the cluster or building the cluster more efficiently, cluster of a business. Relax, but not too much. Be yourself and have fun, but don't relax so much that you say or do something you will regret the next day. So what your actions are, that needs to be monitored. Though you are socializing, but you should not be, as I've already said, cracking jokes and partying too much and crossing the limits. So you may feel more comfortable with your coworkers, but this doesn't mean you can let go of all self-control. You still have to maintain your reputation and keep the respect of others. Because the way you are going to behave, uh, you will be tagged. So the decency has to be part of your behavior, because you are maybe holding a very important position, and there are 100 people who are reporting to you in the organization. What they are going to tag you in their personal groups. That is not good. So remember that you are representing your company. Your approach should be very, very positive. Dress appropriately and respect everyone else who is present there. And the last point, which is also going to be the last point of this particular module, it says deal with inappropriate behavior appropriately. So you may see one of the co-workers behaving inappropriately, not able to conduct himself at a particular event that you have thrown. So you should speak to a person, what is expected out of him and the normal party. If he is getting indecent, then the person has to be talked about the same. It is not that you will just keep quiet. You will not. It is not that you are going to fire that person. Because as a worker, as technically he is going to be very, very good, but at that point of time, he may have slipped. As we were talking about indecency in the previous point also. So he has relaxed too much. But so if you find somebody in that at that level, then make sure to inform a person, speak to a person, and make him comfortable. What generally people do is either they keep on watching, and there are opinions about person which has been created. There may be, as I was saying, there may be clients to your clients, and they will form opinion about the culture of the organization. That should not happen, and that's why it is very important for you to discuss the inappropriate matter with the person himself. Take him to a place, try to make him comfortable, and do not even call out the misconduct in public. It may also be that if you are doing it, then it may start an argument, and the limits may be crossed. This is not going to do any favors to anybody, neither to him, nor to you, nor to the other subordinates, nor to the other superiors, not to the clients, nor to the clients of clients, nor to the organization. It is not going to do anything good. So deal with inappropriate behavior appropriately. And this always happens, whenever Whenever there are informal gatherings, this happens. So what should be your language? Please mind it. What are your actions? Please mind it. And if you find somebody crossing the line, then you should adopt. Uh, say you should go to the person and speak about it. Try to make him comfortable. So these are few points. These are about relationships in the working environment, as the slide says, relationship at workplace. And these were few points. Hopefully, this has make you gain something. This is what ends this particular module. If there are queries are most welcome. So you can put in the queries. There are 63 people currently attending this session. So we'll move on to the next module, that is Code of Ethics. Please refer to your syllabus also. It will have certain topics. 7 of them are there. We'll gradually try to cover up these topics, and this starts with the principle of ethics. Then few categories of ethics like compliance-based and value-based code of ethics. It will talk about professional obligation, role of regulatory authorities, which prescribe the guidelines for various sectors also. And it will talk about privacy and confidentiality within an organization. So, and of course, the informed consent. You all know, or you almost have experienced or gone through the process of informed consent, but may not be knowing that this is what it is called informed consent. Though I think so that it is known to people that what is informed consentism. So these are certain points that we are going to discuss in this module. So code of ethics, here we start, and the first topic of this is going to be principles of ethics. Let's try to cover a bit of it before we close this session and come back into the next session. The remaining we'll cover in the next session. Well, if you see, this defines it all in one statement. The expression basic ethical principles refer to those general judgments that serve as a justification of a particular ethical prescriptions and evaluation of human action. So, when these principles are being laid down, those are actually caricature of what you should be doing and what you should not. That's why these are being mentioned as, in the line also, it has been mentioned as ethical prescriptions. Wherein if the action, human action is being performed, if you do something, then these are also the guidelines through which, referring which your actions will be judged as ethical or unethical. So that's a shortest and most appropriate expression of basic ethical principles, which is on your slide. So on one side, it is the prescription as per which you will be performing the actions. On the other side, it's a guideline which is going to even judge you that the actions that you have performed are appropriate or not. So given below are the basic principles, I mean, those generally accepted in our cultural tradition and are particularly relevant to the ethics in business organizations also. So truthfulness and confidentiality, autonomy, informed consent, beneficence and non-maleficence, and justice. These are few good principles. So I'll take one or two and then we will wind up the session for today. So going to the first one, truthfulness and confidentiality. And these are the two concepts, that you may commonly face in your day-to-day practice. Truthfulness is about telling the truth to someone who has a right to know the truth. So it may be your client also. What you are offering to the client has a right to know it. So from business perspective, this is again very, very important. So as I was saying, I referred to one of the examples where I said that there is an executive under pressure to meet the sales target, and based on the client's requirement, if he get to know the client's requirement, he may project some false features of a particular product, get it sold, because he is a rolling stone and he may very well move out of the organization after a while. But if you talk about right of the customer, customer has right for this truthfulness. Also, the concept of confidentiality urges you to keep a secret of the knowledge or information that a person has a right or obligation to conceal. So, it's like a person has given you the information. You are in the process of getting the contract developed. So, if I'm buying a particular product, maybe an electronic product, or maybe an automobile, my information needs to be recorded with the company because of the services those are going to be provided to me as per the service provision in the protocols of the company. If the services needs to be provided to me, then they need to record the information of mine, my name, my phone number, my mail ID, uh, my address, and so on. Few other, if say even loan is there, then few other information they would like to know, etc., etc. But then this information leaks out. That's what is breaching confidentiality. And that's what it says. The concept of confidentiality urges you to keep a secret of the knowledge or information that a person has a right or obligation to conceal. So if the management knows that an employee is always going to, this is about what I'm trying to state here is, and not about the customer's information, but even about the employee, how the employee is conducting. So if the management knows that the employee is always going to work with the ethical principle of confidentiality in mind, then they will be able to talk freely about sensitive issues and sensitive information. They can discuss sensitive issues. And this also helps in developing the informal relationships because these issues are not being discussed falling in line with the scalar chain or the hierarchy. These are discussed in the informal gatherings, and giving your observations on such things actually are getting recorded informally with the management. And next time when the promotions are happening, etc., what kind of suggestions have you given informally? What kind of conduct you are having formally? Based on that, you get benefit out of it. Same way, when you are running a business, there will be people working under you. So you will get to know this particular person is of quite good use, both technically, personally, and so on. And ultimately, he may be given those appraisals. So the professional obligation to keep a secret arises from the fact that harm will almost certainly follow if the information is revealed. Harm to a company or harm the customer or the stakeholders. So what kind of secrets are there? This will be the last point. We are reaching the time. So there are three types of secrets generally which companies needs to keep. Natural secret. They should evaluate information and should know that information which, if relieved, is harmful by its nature. Such revelations may lead to embarrassment and endangering the existence. Generally, in medical profession, this is so. Say a doctor's client, the person could be HIV positive, and if that leaks out, in many portion of the society, that has been taken as a taboo. So, if the person belongs to that particular section of society, then obviously he'll not be able to live comfortably in that section. So, information which, if revealed, is harmful by its nature, then we should not be revealing it. Promised secret information that we have promised to conceal with us. which if broken leads to public mistrust. So it may be about policies of a company. What about CAs? If CAs leaks out the financial information, what will happen? Every competitor will get to know, and they may adopt a certain strategy which is not going to be beneficial for this company. Professional secrets, knowledge which if revealed will harm the client, the profession, and the society that obtains services from the profession. So a professional secret is the most serious of all secrets because its violation can cause a greatest harm. So what happens between a lawyer and a solicitor and the person whose case he has been supporting, whatever is being discussed, that has to be kept secret. That should not leak out. Otherwise, it is going to damage the complete spirit of the case. So as of now, this is what we have discussed. We'll go through the remaining points in last session today. Last session for the day today, not the last session for PF. And we'll try to cover up as much as possible, whatever time permits us. Hopefully, we'll gain something out of it. So I'm closing this section. Meet you again in the evening. Have a great time. Bye.
Thank you, sir.